eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
Yo, what the hell is going on, everybody? I can't even contain my excitement for today's show. Thank you all for being here. Happy Sunday or Monday morning, wherever you're tuning in from. Maybe some of you watched the video that went up this morning for you, or last night for me, with Frada Eleftheria. Man, that was one of the coolest interviews I've ever done. I haven't done many, but by far, for me, that was really fun because, I mean, he's just such an interesting guy, involved in some really interesting things. And the fact that I got to interview him and just talk to him is just so cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you've seen it, if you haven't, go and check it out. I'll probably put up a few clips of that today on X. But yeah, really cool conversation. Highly recommend you go and check it out. And if you have, I hope you enjoyed it. But today's show, we're going back to the secret space program stuff. And like I said, I'm really excited to go through what we've got today. So we're mainly going to be looking at an interview with Bill Tompkins, but we've got a couple of clips to kind of preface that with first. And Suki is rostered onto work today, but she's just walked out unannounced. So I'll be docking her pay for that. Hopefully she comes back. Before we get into that, let's jump over here. Because we don't want to waste time. We've got a lot to get into today. As people start filtering in, because I know a lot of the time people aren't here on time. That's okay. I won't hold it against you. As people are filtering in, I'm going to play this video, which is hilarious. If you follow me on X, you would have seen that I reshared it. Now, I didn't realize when I shared it that I'm in it. I'm in this. And this is the 2025 UFO Crash Out Awards. And this was made by Red Panda Koala. And this is what I call like next gen memes. Like this is like a 5.5 minute video, completely made with AI, showcasing all of the personalities in the UFO world and kind of like a red carpet of who had the biggest crash out. And it's hilarious. So I'll pause it when it gets to me because I didn't even realize it was me because I didn't recognize myself without a hat on. But check this out.
And now to present the award for UFO Crash Out of the Year, the Academy presents Jack Sarfati.
I know a thing or two about crash outs because a lot of you pieces of shit are schmucks. I don't know what the deal is with 2025, but you all have lost your goddamn minds. 2025 reminds me of when a bunch of crack got mixed into the Molly at the 1978 Esalen orgy hunger strike. Hal put off an Ingo Swan, remember? Whether it's in the halls of Congress, at a sweaty UFO conference, or while doing satanic rituals at Skinwalker Ranch, 2025 saw the UFO community take crash-outs to new extremes. Okay, let's take a look at the nominees.
The nominees for UFO Crash Out of the Year are Jeremy Kenyon Lockyer Corbell.
You should ask yourself that. Why? Congress just lied to the American public.
Who lied?
Representative Nancy Mace, maybe about 50 congressional staffers, they all lied. That was a knowing lie and not some sort of strange...
I'm happy to clarify it. I'm not going to accuse the chairwoman of lying.
I'm not going to be quiet. I'm fucking going to look everybody in the fucking eye. Yeah, whoever fucking lied, I'm going to say it in front of everybody. Are you kidding me? Yeah, if they let me in, I'm going. They all lied.
Luis Elizondo.
Go for it. They described it as literally the mother.
The Hood Greer, just in disgust, can't even believe that this man's been nominated.
looking like the mothership from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It is significantly large. This is an altitude of 21,000 feet. Taken by a civilian pilot. And the object potentially is anywhere between 600 to 1,000 feet in diameter. It's a reticular object, and it is silver. I cannot vouch
Chris Mellon just like embarrassed as hell. Just can't even look up right now.
for the veracity of this photograph. I didn't take it.
Lou Elizondo, these photos that are supposedly of a real alien.
Oh, here we go.
Bro, it's so dumb. Yeah, that thing. Look at that. What is that? What's that? What is that?
What are those babies called that are born like that?
Oh, Harlequin babies?
Yeah.
It could be anything, man. I mean, it might not even be human. I mean, it
Probably
might not
not an
even
alien.
be, you know.
Ashton Forbes.
Keep watching the video until it
So
sticks
funny.
in your retarded fucking heads
Annie Jones.
that it's real. Professor Dave, I'm gonna make that guy hang himself. I keep telling you fucking idiots, stop
David Icke.
coming at me. I am going to ruin and destroy your life.
Yo. Why do I look sweatier than Prince Andrew though? For real. When I watched this the first time and I saw that, I remember in my head, I was just like, oh, that kind of looks like Shia LaBeouf, but with long hair. It's me, apparently. I don't even recognize myself without a hat on.
Telling me I have to be nice to these people? You are out of your mind. I'm going to destroy their lives. I'm going to dox them publicly. I'm going to give their address away on live stream in front of thousands of people and have their lives be ruined. You're funny now. You're not going to think it's cute or funny when your life is destroyed, when your wife leaves you, when your children won't talk to you because you're a piece of shit and the whole world hates you because you're
Dude, Ashton just gives no fucks, eh?
a
Jesus.
fucking retard who is trying to gatekeep free energy and Star Trek technology from us.
James Fox.
So funny.
You received an order from someone at some point that said, you gotta shoot this NHI. And
I feel really uncomfortable talking about this because this is a credibility destroyer in my opinion, and it really...
At no point had anyone ever mentioned anything about killing a fucking alien, then also goes on Spaces, reiterates this, gets barbecued by some milk.
bothers me.
And I don't like
talking
talking
about it, and I
about
don't want to be connected to it.
It's going to bring back...
And I've already told him that.
All right, so
if you're going to make those claims, I'm walking out.
No, I'm not.
I'm sorry.
I have to tell you...
It's already bad enough.
Yeah, because right now we're treading a line where...
Honorable mentions include Lil Pop-Tart, Roger's Coin,
Who do you think's gonna win, guys? Who do you think's taking this home?
Lou Reviews, Richard Doty.
Dude, Richard Doty is just like, without meaning to, the sussest looking guy ever. Like, I just wouldn't trust him with anything.
And lastly, American shaman Jake Chansley.
And the 20...
So who we got? Who have we got? Lou, Ashton. A lot of people going Ashton, Lou.
25 UFO crash out of the year
Here we go.
is Ashton Ford.
Congratulations, Ashton. Oh, who is that? Just for science, who is that?
I am not sorry at all, not even a little bit sorry. The amount of psychopathic shit that's been happening to me due to nut jobs is beyond even understanding from... And I 100% blame the Redditors and Dave Farina directly for it. When you go out on YouTube and make a whole bunch of lies about somebody to hundreds of thousands of people, you're gonna have nut job people doing nut job shit.
It's true. Oh, I just thought that was great. And yeah, I had a little feature in there. Didn't realize. Kurt Jaimungal needs a haircut. I don't think Kurt was in that. I think that's Deep Prasad who you might be referring to. Did a reptilian just walk off stage? I didn't see that. Redhead lady on X. Damn, I might have to do some research. All right. With that out of the way, that was a bit of fun. Just a fun thing to start the show. My own little cameo in the UFO Crash Out Awards. Very happy to be there. Let's get started with Bill Tompkins, because this guy is an interesting guy. Very interesting, right? This guy allegedly worked for Lockheed, Northrop, all of them. I'll go into it a bit deeper for you in a moment, but I want to actually play you the clip where I first heard of Bill Tompkins for like the very first time ever, because it wasn't that long ago, all right? So check this out. This is Chris Bledsoe's son, Ryan, on a podcast with someone. I'm not sure who it is, but it doesn't really matter. And he explains an interaction that was had with Bill Tompkins, Tom DeLonge, and his dad. Check this out.
My dad has met Bill Tompkins, the guy who supposedly built the ships for the space program. You know, do you know who I'm talking about?
I was referring to some of his. I was thinking actually, sorry, of some of his illustrations in my head as I was describing it. William Tompkins, correct? Right.
Yep, and he sat there at a little Starbucks. I don't know what you call it, patio seating outside.
Yeah.
My dad, Tom DeLonge, the Blink-182 guy, and Bill Tompkins, and they sat there and they tried to shop my dad. Shop him as in win him over. And he sat there and he told my dad that Bill Clinton is a 9-foot-tall reptilian. He eats little girls. They slit their throat. They drink the blood and suck the life force out of their body. They zap us with these machines when we die so that they create this little hologram of a light. And when our consciousness goes to it, they reincarnate us back over. And the big secret that the government's been hiding, everybody, is that we're a cattle farm for lizards that live in caves, and the queen and the presidents are lizards.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, that's the same shit that everybody's reading online. So if they're saying it, you know, and they're meeting my dad, who he is, been studied by the CIA and NASA and all this shit, and then he's meeting this guy and he's going to start spouting all this mumbo jumbo. It's obviously not true. It's an agenda. These officers have this compartmentalized agenda to spew a certain story, like actors, to trick the world.
So, just quickly, Toxic Fart with $2 says, if I didn't know better, I'd think it's AI. I know, right? I know. Definitely real. And also, we had a couple of new weirdos tune in just before the stream. So please, guys, Tom, Mad, and Sam, welcome to the Weirdos Club. You've just unlocked a whole bunch of new content and access to the members section of our Discord. So can we get some loves in the chat for our new members? Just quickly, though, on that clip, right? So obviously, Ryan and his dad, you could probably assume, believe that like what Bill Tompkins is saying and Tom DeLonge is saying is just bullshit, right? And that's fair enough, because their experience with the phenomenon, with these orbs that they summon and whatever, has been like overtly positive, like positive only. And that's probably true, right? But I think it's important to consider like the blind man and the elephant, because that very well could be what's happening here. Because again, it's all about perspective. And I've talked about this a lot. As an individual person, you're always only going to have like a limited perspective on reality. Like one single person can only intake so much information. Like you can never have the full perspective of everything in the world, ever. Of course you can't. You're just one person. You're only taking so much information. And I know Tom DeLonge has come out and said that like these guys are having positive experiences, and that's true. But like everything, there is a polarity, and there is a bad side to it as well. So like, meanwhile, while these guys are having positive experiences over here, on the other side of the world, these sort of same beings or this same phenomenon is actually doing really dark shit as well. Now, obviously, Tom DeLonge is sort of like mixed in his own cauldron of like what the hell kind of went on there with all those CIA guys and stuff like that. And I think that is totally fair. But let's just stay open-minded. And I've got a little Tom DeLonge clip that I wanted to show you as well, because he talks about disclosure and like having to like why the can has been kicked down the road for so long and why it seems like they just don't want to do it. And when we consider everything that we've looked at so far with this secret space program stuff, you know, with the fact that, like, you know, just to really generalize it, let's say, just to really generalize it, the Nazis essentially actually won World War II. They had access to this wild technology and a secret space program was developed from there. They were in contact with these non-human intelligences who actually have the real power over humanity and the world, and that we are kind of subservient to them, and there's really not much we can do about that. That's like a super generalized version, potentially missing a few nuances, right? If we consider that, well, first of all, if we consider that, because, you know, their whatever their agendas are, probably don't really care for us. The same way, like, when we like herd up cows and kill them for food, right? I'm not saying that's what's happening to humans, but it's like we don't really care about them because they are useful to us, and we just kind of do what we need to do. And unlucky cow, unlucky you were born a cow. You know what I mean? That would answer the question of why Lou Elizondo felt somber, or he thinks the world would feel somber, because it's like realizing that we're caught in something that we can do nothing about. And I think it also really explains, like, Tom DeLonge in this clip. So I'll stop yapping and just show you the clip. So this is George Knapp interviewing Tom DeLonge, and it's a really interesting interview, but this is only a couple of minutes. We'll look at the whole thing one day.
I guess to put it in a nutshell.
And just take note, 2016. This is 2016 that this happened.
You know, a lot of people are just laugh at it and ready to dismiss it. But you know now for a fact there are high-level people who know that it's real.
Yes, not only do I know for a fact that there are groups and high-level groups within the DoD and national security divisions of our country, not only do I know that they know it's real, you know, I'm starting to get a clear picture of why it's kept secret and why it's been treated the way that it's been treated to people like us civilians, which is, once again, an element of that giggle factor.
We have a right to know. We're ready. You hear it every day, you know, in the UFO field. We can handle the truth. We have a right to know. Tell us what's going on.
You know, I feel like, to make an analogy, you know, maybe one of your best friends, you got to go and approach one of your best friends about something that's really heavy and is really going to crush his life. And you're like, oh, I don't want to do this today, and I'll do it tomorrow. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to call him up and do this, you know, I'll do it next week. You put it off because it's something's going to really hurt somebody.
Like, when he's saying that, I'm thinking about what we've looked at over the last few days, that, like, you know, if it's true that there is, like, you know, Operation High Jump was real, there is some kind of, like, super advanced Nazi regime that is in contact with aliens and a higher power, and they are actually who ruled the world. That is who hovered over the White House in 1952 to say, hey, remember who your daddy is. Okay, if all that is true, what Tom DeLonge is saying right now makes a lot of sense. Like, how do you admit that? Not only how do you admit that, but, like, how do you also admit it and be like, yeah, sorry, we didn't tell you guys for like 80 years. Just trying to figure out how to say it. It's kind of fucked up. I didn't really know how to tell you that the Nazis actually won the war and we are subservient to reptilians and Nordics. Yeah, it's a tough one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I if that's true, I kind of get it.
And it's just it's a big thing to jump into. And I feel like that's kind of what this topic is with civilians. I think they really want us to know. I really do think they do. I really do at this point feel like it's going to be a tough thing to swallow for people. And I think there's elements about it that people are not ready for. And my whole life, I had that very kind of, and I think you and I have talked about this, where I've had that kind of egocentric version of why they won't tell us stuff. They think they're more important than me, or they don't think I can handle it, or they're hiding breakthroughs from me for money. You know, all these things are just ego. And I have never been so wrong. You know, as I get into this stuff and I'm starting to learn the architecture of why and how and what, it's just not that at all.
It may be the hardest thing to believe of all of it. You can believe in the others or aliens or something like that, but to believe that our government actually had a good reason for keeping this a secret is going to be tough for people to swallow.
It definitely will. Now, that's from 2016, and the interview that we're about to look at from Bill Tompkins is also from 2016. And Bill Tompkins died in 2017, by the way. You know, is that sus? I don't know, maybe. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But I just wanted to say that, like, so we heard there from Brian Bledsoe saying that Bill Tompkins and Tom DeLonge together were trying to basically buy the rights to his dad's story, and they wanted to insert reptilians into it. And the Bledsoes didn't want that because that's not their experience with the phenomenon, so they didn't want that. And like I said, it could be a case of the blind man and the elephant. From their perspective, everything's all good, but they don't know what people on the other side of the phenomenon are experiencing. And maybe they're not open-minded enough to hear that, or maybe they believe, like, you know, they just don't want anything to do with that, and fair enough. So I think before we show this interview, it's probably fair to say that even if Tom DeLonge was used as a conduit for, like, misinformation, which he very may well have been, that what Bill Tompkins says, Lou Elizondo, all those people could be like the narrative that they believe. But that might not even be true, right? So let's just stay open-minded here and open to the idea. Like, you know, we need to just stay pretty balanced here because this is wild shit. That's all I'm saying. So let me just give you a quick little not interview.
You may disagree.
This is Bill Tompkins here being interviewed by Kerry Cassidy from Project Camelot. And I'm just going to give you a quick little background for those of you who maybe don't know on Bill Tompkins, right? So the reason, like, how he even got picked is because he was building highly detailed scale models of Navy ships at the age of 9. And even at that age, he gained, like, the attention of, like, the military at that time. And by 1941, he had a collection of over 300 models at a 1:600 scale. And this was displayed at a naval training station in San Diego. And a rear admiral from the Navy noticed it, and, like, it got the attention of the Navy, right? And in 1941, an article in the Evening Outlook, which is like a Californian paper, I guess, highlighted Bill Tompkins and his work. And he was 17 years old at the time. And he was basically pulled out of high school and brought into the Navy. And he ended up working for Naval Intelligence. Okay, so this kid was, well, he's not a kid anymore, but when he was a kid, he was basically identified for his, like, eye for detail and, I guess, intelligence, and was ripped out of high school and put into the Navy and ended up working in Naval Intelligence. Now, that's just the start of it. He served in the US Navy during World War II. And that's where he was in Naval Intelligence. Okay, he claims that he worked as a courier, just distributing highly classified information obtained from Navy spies that were embedded in Nazi Germany. Okay, so that's wild when you think about that, if that's true. And he says that the reports that he was a courier for allegedly detailed Nazi advancements in aerospace, including UFO-like craft and anti-gravity propulsion. So, like, the Glocker, the Hanabu, all this kind of shit. Because remember, this is in World War II. Like, there's no internet, there's no email. You're literally couriering documents around because that's all you got. And that's apparently what he did. And he was stationed at the Naval Air Station in San Diego and worked under a man named Admiral Rico Batta, contributing to intelligence operations. So we're going to hear about him in this interview. But here's the spicy part. Bill Tompkins worked for Douglas Aircraft in 1950 to 1963, and initially he was a draftsman and later was in the advanced design think tank. And he claims that he was tasked with designing kilometer-long anti-gravity spacecraft based on the intelligence from the Nazi programs. Yep. Then he had contributions to the Apollo program. So he was involved in the Saturn program first, which evolved into the Apollo launch vehicle. And he claims that he was part of providing like critical information and like engineering ideas and systems to Werner von Braun. So this guy worked with Werner von Braun on the Apollo missions, according to him. And last bit, after he worked for Douglas, he held positions over time with North American Aviation, Northrop, Lockheed, Rocketdyne, and TRW. And he says that at TRW, he was involved in classified projects, including remote viewing programs and contributions to the Apollo S-4B and the and part of the Saturn V rocket as well. And this interview took place in 2016, less than a year before he passed away. Wild, huh? I reckon I'll just quickly say that he passed away due to a brain hemorrhage at the age of 94, or a blood tumor in the brain. He fell over twice, and obviously there's speculation around that being a conspiracy. Maybe it was. Ironically, Carl Wolf, who we heard about from Jason Giorgiani in the first space program episode, died in 2018, so a year later. And this was a guy who allegedly saw photos of civilizations on the moon. And when all this stuff started coming out in 2017, he got hit by a truck. He got hit by a truck from behind, by the way. I'll add this in. He got hit by a truck from behind, and the Tompkins County Sheriff, like weird synchronicity, Tompkins County Sheriff, investigated that crash. No charges were filed against the driver whose name was not released. Just saying. So let's get into this interview. This is about 50 minutes of interview here, and it's pretty wild. We'll stop off and chat about it along the way.
Agree with me, but I think you might be the first witness to come forward in the area of the secret space program, black projects, and who is actually, in a sense, sanctioned, being backed up by a section of the military, I would say. Now, I don't know if you'd see it like that. I certainly know you're backed up by the Nordics. But I'm talking earthly civilization here. And I think in that case, maybe the Navy is behind bringing you forward. But I don't know if you're actually willing or even able to elaborate on that. But go ahead.
Well, actually, it's sort of a situation where I'm still involved with the Navy. And I'm actually having to participate in naval programs. So I'm going to discuss as much as I can. You're going to hit me with some questions, and I won't be able to answer. So I think the easiest way to just start this is to go back to 1942. Actually, for whatever reason, I was selected by some people in the Navy, Naval Intelligence, to essentially be assigned a program to discuss the U.S. Navy secret space operators who have been operating in Germany, trying to understand the tremendously complicated agreement between the SS and the Draco Reptilian group who were assisting Germany.
Yep.
So this had actually gotten started much earlier with a very lovely young lady in Germany who was contacted by Nordic people to essentially get her friends to develop the necessary requirements to build a large space transport, get their friends and the family to join into this, and essentially leave the planet and go to another star's planetary system.
And this is Maria Orsic.
That's correct. And so she actually was doing this from like the late 20s, 1930s. And it ended up in the studies that I got involved in with the information from the operatives, Navy operatives, coming back from Germany, into Admiral Rico Batta's secret conference room at the top building, Naval Air Station San Diego. He's commander, Naval Air Station San Diego, but he has a hobby, okay? And this hobby is roughly 28, 29 naval operatives who in 1942 and possibly early in 41 were continually going back to Germany and studying all over the different research organizations what it was that the agreement had actually been made with Hitler, the SS, and the Draco Reptilian people.
Okay, but if this is happening in 41 or 42, the war is not over.
The war is still on. But this young lady that we're talking about had been contacted by Nordic people to help her get an organization together with a great deal of extraterrestrial assistance to design a propulsion system, design a vehicle large enough to carry 40, 50,000 people, get in this vehicle and leave the planet. Now, the SS was not aware of this. When they found out about this, they took over a group of 1,442 people, which included scientists, and it included shoe salesmen, it included...
Yo. Shoe salesman? That's crazy. Because Tony Rodriguez in the last episode was saying they were trading shoes out in space. That's not the corroborating detail I thought I would find here. That's crazy. That is actually nuts that I like it. Did he just say that like off a whim, or like is that actually a real thing? 'Cause that's the second person involved with secret space programs that's talking about taking shoes out in space. That's so weird. It's all about the shoes. Humans are literally just shoemakers for the rest of the galaxy. That's our role in the cosmos. We make sick kicks. What's with the shoes? I know it's such a weird detail. And like, you know what's also weird is like, obviously, yeah, it's very easy to say this is all bullshit for sure because it's so out there. But you know, this guy's background and credentials are a fact. Okay, this guy worked for all these top aerospace companies, World War II, naval intelligence. So if this guy is telling us bullshit, then that's really concerning as well. Like if a guy with this kind of background, who he just said before he's still involved in the Navy in some capacity. So if the Navy is coming out and like intentionally trying to bullshit us with this, then that's scary. That's weird and scary. And then if it's all true, that's also weird and scary. So like there's no sort of like nice, easy answer to this.
Farmers, it included top research technicians. All these people were contacted by the Nordic extraterrestrials to assist people in Germany to get a vehicle built. So now we have a whole lot of civilians, nothing to do with the military, and with absolutely no desire to have the military involved in this extraterrestrial event. Okay? Real important. When the SS found out what they were doing, they took over everything that she had structured and organized, all 1,443 people. They had been hawking their farms. They had been getting everything they could possibly get in the way of money to design and build massive size spacecraft transports. That's not what the SS wanted. So they took over this facility and they jumped in and grabbed everything. After only 2 months, Hitler made the decision, let her and her organization go ahead with what they're doing. We're going to be working with the Draco Reptilian group. So now we have two groups that we can get, and we can cut into them anytime we want. We can take it over again anytime that it was necessary. So actually, they allowed the second time for this group to design and build these spacecraft transports, with which many of them later on, even during the war and after the war, to leave the planet. Some of them went out and came back. They actually had large facilities that they utilized as in underground facilities in Antarctica. the Draco reptilian people had 2 enormous caverns. And I don't want to get off into that subject now. We can talk about it later. But there are caverns all over this planet which different extraterrestrial civilizations have been using.
Look, I'll just say, out of everything, and I've been saying this for weeks, I am going to make the video. Maybe I'll do it today or tomorrow. But I'm so on board with the idea that, like, yeah, Hollow Earth. I'll put my hand up and say I'm on board with Hollow Earth. Like, if there's anything going on like this, it's happening underground 100%. I mean, I think the evidence really points to that. And, you know, that a lot of that evidence, like, a lot of the evidence is just people saying it, right? And that's not good enough for some people, and I understand that. But individually, it's not good enough. Get that. But when you research it and you realize there's all these people around the world who don't know each other from different eras, all kind of saying the same thing, that, like, I think that should count as evidence. Because what does that mean? Is everyone in the world creating a conspiracy theory against you to try and trick you into believing that there's something going on underground? Or maybe is there just something to it? I think, like, the fact that there's something to it makes more sense than everyone is trying to conspire against you and trick you. Like, that just kind of makes sense to me. And I know there's a few places. There's one in Vietnam, actually. It's called, like, the Song Dung Cave or something like that. I'm hoping to go to Vietnam next year, actually. But I've heard to do tours there, you can't just go tour, like, you can, but it's like $5,000. It's like, you know, it's not just like a little tourist spot. It's like a trek. But this cave, it's like the biggest cave system in the world. If you look it up, it's stunning. It's like you go into this cave and it's, you know, the ceiling is just so high, you'd never reach it. And it's like this underground world that it leads into. Like, it's unreal. There's one in Australia too, the one with all the stacked stones. Oh, Paul, you'd have to let me know. I'd have to check that out, man. That's unreal. Andong, I've been there and did the multi-day trek. I had to book it a year in advance. Yeah, wow, Dan. How much did it cost you? The Hopi said the ant people live underground. Yep. That's right. Give me some more details on that, Dan. I'd love to hear about it. Even if you want to drop like some pictures or like a full detailed explanation in Discord, that'd be awesome. I'd love to check it out.
Okay, for thousands of years. Now, back to the SS.
Yes.
What the operatives found was an unbelievable series of situations that literally, when they gave their briefings to Admiral Rico Batta, we also have one at least of 3 other Navy captains in his office at the time of this briefing to sort of set the stage for this.
Okay, can I get the year that they did the briefing with Rico Batta?
1942.
Still during the war?
Still during the war.
Incredible. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Admiral Rico, well, there was a large table. The operative sat on the other side of the table. Admiral Rico Batta sat here, I sat next to him, and one of the 3 Navy captains sat next to me. The typist sat at the end of the table. That's the only people that were in there. We always had the same people. Essentially, all of these meetings, all of these disclosure meetings took place at night. The Admiral's aide would wake me up, sleeping in my barracks. He tapped me on the shoulder, and all he said was, "He's here." He escorted me across the facility over to this tall building, which is the command center at Naval Air Station San Diego. There's a small office near the top of this. That's where these disclosure meetings took place. So these operatives then brought back this information, which is, even Admiral Rico Batta said, "I don't believe one word you're saying, young man." That came up over and over.
Okay, can I ask you the name of...
Bill definitely keeps Werther's in his pocket. Bill's definitely like a handkerchief Werther's original type operator, 100%. I'm thinking Werther's in the back right and handkerchief front chest pocket for sure.
The other Navy captain, or are we not to know who that is?
Actually, I have to say I can't remember it right now, so that gets me out of it. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
But I really don't remember.
Okay.
Okay. But these operatives themselves didn't believe some of the information that they had to bring back, and so all they tried to do as best they could is present a package of information. Some of it even had manuals. Okay? Some of the manuals were in hieroglyphics. All of the manuals were in German. Then they had photographs taken inside of research facilities in Germany. They had photographs of UFOs. They had photographs of maintenance people working on UFOs. They had photographs inside of the UFOs.
Okay, now I want to ask you something, because these operatives, you're calling them operatives, were these regular human beings, and how were they getting access to Germany at this time to get this information? Was this something that they were allowing the Americans to have? What was the relationship?
Okay, basically.
Yeah, BlackBerry sued are fire, 100%. I'll go them all day.
Were they spies?
All of these young men were either Lieutenant JGs or full lieutenants in the Navy's intelligence. These people were all American-German family people. All of these fellas knew Germany. They even knew all the accents in different areas in the surrounding countries. These are beautiful guys who were dedicated themselves to be essentially spies for the U.S. Navy. Okay. Now, this was totally unaware with the Air Force. All right. Everything that I'm talking about is on the Navy side of what took place way back then.
Right.
Okay? So these operatives would bring back photographs of the different vehicles. They would bring back data.
Sorry, I'm just losing it at sock suspenders.
Sometimes documents, all in German, and or some of it in what was then considered to be the closest thing was to be essentially hieroglyphics that we found later on underneath the pyramids. Okay? So that's the best description I can give you of what some of the data was. Obviously, this was information that was not given to Germany by extraterrestrials using English language, where otherwise many meetings that took place later on with extraterrestrials, they could give you the information in 10 or 20 different languages. But that's not what we got, okay? So they would actually attempt to tell this panel everything that they were able to find and what was most important. And we then would take that information, and I had 11 or 12 young ladies who could take this information, which the first girl typed, run copies of, and then put together different, what they called packages, which essentially were proposals, okay? These proposals then were then to be disseminated around the United States in secret facilities. Now, I want to make one point very clear.
All your questions were answered at the start of the stream, stupid, unfunny shorts.
Here. Actually, what was on the Rinse radio program last night was a document that actually was put together later at Douglas, because Douglas got one of these packages. I personally took it to Santa Monica Douglas as one of the first of 4 top, not aerospace, aircraft companies, which became aerospace later on. Remember, everything that we're talking about here, I don't know how to make this clear. You're trying to decipher, you're trying to understand, not just other extraterrestrial people information, but everything that you're getting is totally unreal to every single PhD on the planet. I have to say, people don't realize what took place in 1942 in the Naval Air Station at San Diego. This is unbelievable. And it's not just a statement of unbelievable. You couldn't understand it. When the documents were then taken, and I had to use one of the 2 airplanes that Admiral Rico Batta had. He had a twin-engine Lockheed Electra. which we used to fly back in the eastern part of the country to laboratories and naval bases. And then he had a 7-passenger high-wing single-engine plane, which we flew to Douglas and into Lockheed, out on the desert to the Navy facilities out there. So we put together rough information, and I want to try to explain what that information was. All it consisted of was a typed version of what the operative said, copies of that. Okay. Some documents, some photographs, some written notes, like there might be as many as 30 pages of written notes that the operative would give to the Admiral.
Okay, now I'm going to stop you there and ask you, Rico Batta and yourself, can we get...
Toxic Fart says, it drives me nuts that everyone uses the word hieroglyphics to describe alien writing symbols. Toxic, what do you suggest people should use? Paul Stringer threw in $2 and says, what put the Germans so far ahead of everyone else? It's a good question. I think, well, Bill Tompkins has an answer for us. Whether you believe him or not is another story. But it's certainly interesting. This guy's naval intelligence, worked at Lockheed, worked at Northrop, worked at all the companies that seem to be involved in this stuff. And he's saying some pretty wild shit. And actually, I cut out about 25 minutes of this interview. And I think I'm going to either put it up as a standalone video or something, or we'll look at it another time. But he details the Battle of LA. Being there for the Battle of LA. It's really interesting because I've talked about that on the channel before, and it's one of those accounts that there's not many like actual witness testimony, people speaking about it that were there. A few people in the chat are saying that she is towering over him. I think what you're seeing here is she is sitting on the arm of the chair and he is sitting in the chair. I think they're probably around the same height in reality.
A little background on why you two guys were so instrumental in this process. Now, I know something about you from reading your book, and I want to highly recommend his book. It's fascinating. But I do want to share with the audience here, Rico Batta, you told me on the phone, I think you said he was Australian, and he wasn't trained in America. Is that right?
Yes, and you're asking a very important question, okay? What you're asking, it's extremely important. We're going to have to step back our thinking here.
So for anyone who came in late, Rico Batta, who they're talking about, is the admiral or one of the admirals of the Navy that Bill Tompkins reported to, worked for. He worked under this admiral of the Navy named Rico Batta, who apparently was Australian.
To the people on this planet,
okay,
they don't know there's extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
They don't know that there's not just one of them. Maybe we've got thousands. Maybe we got billions of extraterrestrial. The latest number, just recently, we doubled the number again. We now have 200 trillion galaxies out there. Mm-hmm. And to say that we're the only intelligent people in this universe is naive. But the people on this planet were tremendously naive.
Yep, I agree with that. We certainly are.
Had no idea what these naval operatives brought back to what essentially was my delivering of these packages to the 4 top airplane companies, because there wasn't aerospace. Now, back to your specific question. Who was Admiral Rico Batta? He was born in Australia. He came to the United States, went to school, joined the Navy as a third-class seaman. He worked his way up. Now, what's extremely important about this is that my mission statement working for Admiral Rico Batta was as disseminator of advanced aircraft research, okay? That was my mission statement working for Admiral Rico Batta was a copy of 80% of his statement, who was written by the Secretary of the Navy, Forestall. Okay? The Nordics contacted Forestall. I'm saying this, you don't believe it, this is what happened.
The Nordics contacted Forestall. I just wanted to highlight that statement, and let's continue.
They contacted Forestall and had Forestall selected to initiate this whole thing in the U.S. Navy. Then Forestall selects an Australian man, two-star Admiral Rico Batta, to be the one person to disseminate this data that our Navy intelligence found out what was going on in Germany. And this is staggering because at that time, people don't realize that there's more than one admiral in the Navy.
I mean, again, if this is true, what we're hearing, and like it's, how far do you want to take it? But like, yeah, I definitely believe that the Germans were ahead technologically, and they probably were messing around with some kind of saucer-shaped, bell-shaped crafts for sure. So if that is true, like if that part is true, if you believe up to there, now we're hearing from Bill Tompkins how the Americans found out about all of this. This is what we're hearing now, how this kind of information came into the hands of the intelligence parts of the American Navy and military, I guess by extension. Australian Admiral Josh. Yep, I'm Rico Batta reincarnated. Yep. I wonder if they realized that Rico was actually just his nickname, like Australians put O on the end of everything. His name was actually Rick, and he probably just rolled up like, "Hey, I'm Rico," and they were probably like, "Oh, Rico Batta." I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm talking shit.
That time there was 43 because there's so many areas that need support. Secretary of the Navy Forestall selected a man who never went to Annapolis. Listen to what I'm saying. Every PhD on this planet, whether they're for science or for medicine, have been given incorrect information for thousands of years about the history of this, not just this galaxy, the universe. They have been given information which was controlled by Draco, Reptilian, and other extraterrestrials not to know what was really going on. So every book in every university on this planet had misinformation about every field, every technical field you can come up with.
Remember what Matthew Brown said? We live in a lie. We live in a carefully controlled reality. Lines up with what Bill Tompkins is saying for me. And that's why I homeschooled my kids. Yep, I would love to do that if I ever have children. Absolutely. Bros dropping facts. Seems like the wing makers sound pretty legit right now. Free body problem. It's all coming together, isn't it? It's all coming together. And hey, let's not forget what Gary McKinnon saw. You know what I mean? It's like, like individually, people are like, oh yeah, Gary McKinnon is making it up. Individually, oh, this Bill Tompkins guy, he's probably just crazy. Like, but when you put it all together, it's like, okay, if all of these people are talking shit, then like this is just like a psyop on levels that are just incomprehensible. If this is a psyop, it's like reality is a psyop. Our entire reality is a psyop. If we're to go along with the thinking that all of these people are just individually talking shit, that Gary McKinnon was just a trick to help plant the seed for this secret space program stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can't be. And I'm not saying it's all true, but I definitely don't think it's all fake either. Reality is indeed a psyop. Ah, damn it. God damn it. I really thought my promotion at my corporate job meant something.
Okay?
Yes.
So when the operatives had to carry this out, they were not asked to study these packages.
Reality is a psyop. Put it on a t-shirt. Hell yeah. Maybe I will.
They were directed to study these packages. These weren't requests for proposal. This was a demand factor that this information that got typed up and the information in these packages to all of these research universities, to all of the top Navy laboratories, the facilities out at China Lake, the underground facilities at China Lake, Caltech. Actually, I didn't take the first package to Caltech in Pasadena. I took their first package to the underground facilities out on the desert called China Lake. And it's just north of the Air Force facilities off of Highway 395 out in the desert in California. Right. And I'm saying...
Jared says, if you look at Gary McKinnon now, he doesn't look too good. He definitely didn't benefit from coming out with that. No, he absolutely didn't. And, yeah, no, he doesn't look great. That's for sure. I mean, that could be to do with, like, you know, other lifestyle factors like diet and exercise and whatever. But still, I mean, the guy never made a penny. In fact, he got dragged through the mud. And I think he still, to this day, cannot leave the UK. So, yeah. It's a whole lot of shit just for what? Just you know, for a little trick. Little trick. Gotcha. Now I can't leave the country for the rest of my life. Woohoo, that was worth it. Gotcha. I don't think so.
People don't understand or realize or gasp. They don't get what has happened. And I'm not trying to build a story here. All I'm trying to say is, hey people, hey you guys, everybody that's listening to this program, okay? You people have been told for a minimum of 6,000 years total incorrect information from medical, from science, from history, from astronomy, from mathematics, you name it. Everything you've told.
Yes.
I
really appreciate you. Yes.
This is a lie.
I hear you. It's great. Can I ask you one thing about these operatives who went into Germany to get this information? We know they were spies from your description, but so they were undercover, so to speak.
Yes.
And they must have seen the craft with their own eyes as well.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So in some cases they were working on the craft even.
They actually got on board, got inside.
All right.
They took...
That's actually crazy. He's saying that the American spies that obtained this intelligence of the Nazis working with this craft, you know, this wasn't like, you know, some kind of like secret listening device or like a plane flying over that was like spying in with like some crazy radar. They had people in Nazi Germany working on the craft with them that were actually American intelligence operatives. That's how deeply embedded into this shit they were. And I just remembered in that documentary that we looked at the other day that Edward Teller and Henry Kissinger were both documented as being in America and in Germany during the war. How does that happen? Bit weird. What are you doing there? That's the enemy. What are you doing over there?
Photographs inside, stuck them in some place and managed to be part of the package that was delivered to Admiral Batta.
Incredible. Now, what do you think? First of all, you're telling me Forrester had contact, and his contact was with the Nordics. They chose him. But was Rico Batta in contact? Or you said he sat there and just shook his head and said, I don't believe you. So he was not a person who had had any contact himself.
You're referring to Admiral Rico Batta?
Yes.
To me, he was selected, period, by the Secretary of the Navy over all of the standard admirals who had been educated in Annapolis.
Because he had an open mind.
He had a mind that would not have been controlled by the misinformation that every university on the planet has given.
And that's interesting what he's saying there. I don't know if you guys remember when Hal Puthoff was on Rogan. He said that when he was doing the Stargate stuff and they were digging into remote viewing in the 70s, and he would get tasked to brief people in the military, he said that it got easier to brief people the higher up the chain you went. So, you know, if you just had to brief, like, I don't know, some like low-level military guy, most of the time they'd be like, get the hell out of here with this, you know, psychic bullshit. But then when he would be up at like admirals and colonels and generals, they would all be like, yeah, okay, makes sense. Like, they were far more open-minded and had a more comprehensive like idea and view of how wild reality actually is. And that's kind of what he's saying here, is that the people with the open minds are generally the ones that were read in or involved. Because it's like, why would I bother? If you've got to read someone into something, why would you do it with someone who like is fully against it and doesn't believe it? Because before you even read them in, you got to spend time convincing them and proving it. If someone's already open to the idea, it's far easier.
Is that your personal take on him when you met him?
No, not when I met him. Later on, this was obvious. Okay. But then, who's Billy Tompkins? Why did he? Who selected Tompkins?
Yes,
to be on this committee?
Right.
Because I get pulled out of high school in the first year. Halfway through the first year, the Navy pulls me out and puts me through boot camp. And then my orders say, report to Commander so-and-so, Naval Air Station San Diego. I'm only saying, I don't have a doctor's in these degrees that are required for all of these studies. Right. I don't have. Right. But then my mind wasn't clouded with misinformation like the Admiral.
That's pretty wild. That's a lot of people commenting on his hair. I didn't even notice his hair, to be honest, when I watched this. Maybe he is wearing a hairpiece. Maybe hair pieces were also recovered along with fiber optics and Kevlar in the Roswell crash. Could be alien tech.
Okay.
Okay, but to get back to you, and this, we've got this setting of this conference table, and you're sitting next to Rico Batta, and eventually you deliver out all these packages around the what becomes the secret space program, but the American. And did you take some to Britain?
No. I only took facilities to the United States, secret facilities.
All right.
Now, right away, I want to hit you with this.
I think he looks great, by the way.
And this is important. Okay. Even the document that was on Rinse Radio last night, it's a Douglas document that was put together inside the secret think tank at Douglas, where I went to work many years after the Navy, okay? Because I worked for Northrop and other people. But when I got into Douglas, they put me in this secret think tank. So that document is called, it's a big thick thing, and it has the Douglas logo on the front of it, and it's called Unconventional Propulsion Schemes, okay? And it doesn't have a confidential stamp on it. It doesn't have a secret stamp on it. Everything that we took, I took. I flew in the airplane, in the Admiral's airplane, to Lockheed, to Naval Air Development Center, Warminster, Pennsylvania. I flew to all the top secret facilities. Not one document that was given had classified in any way given to them. Everybody knew it was way above top secret.
Yeah.
Remos says I interrupt too much. Bro, you don't know how much that makes me just want to keep interrupting so much more. I'm sorry, bro, but when you say things like that, I just want to interrupt more. I can't help it. I can't help it. But yeah, the beauty of that is it is my channel and I can interrupt as much as I want. But thank you for your input, dude. I believe Bill too.
No document was stamped.
I hear you. Yeah, and I had heard that on one of the other shows. So the idea being that if it wasn't stamped, people wouldn't notice it. They wouldn't make a big deal of it.
Yes.
It would just pass through hands. If anyone whose eyes caught sight of that document accidentally, they wouldn't see it, so to speak.
Hidden in plain sight. And apparently so much of this shit is, right? I mean, it's literally the name of Ross Coulthard's book, In Plain Sight. And it's crazy. Like, it makes sense, right? To be able to conceal something as wild as this stuff, at least a good percentage of it has to be in plain sight. Like, you could never just completely tuck this stuff away for it to never be seen by the public. Elements of it must be seen by the public, and again, yeah, it's just we don't even realize what we're looking at potentially. We come here to listen to you, bro. We can find these videos on our own if we want. Pay no attention to that. No, I don't, bro. I will interrupt when I feel the need to, for sure. But yeah, you're exactly right. If I just turned on the stream and played this video and just sat here like this, that'd be weird. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm transforming this into my own content, and creating a conversation around it, because I think that's what's important.
But it's an interesting way to handle the most classified subject on the planet.
Absolutely. Well, actually quite ingenious, really. Was anyone having contact? Any high-level people contacted even before the event happened, in fact?
Okay. My understanding on this was that nobody came down, nobody talked to the people that were in these vehicles, but probably thousands of people telepathically got information, okay?
Okay.
So the bells were rung in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
And you were one of them?
I just happened to be one of them, I think. I can't prove it, but somehow...
well, I mean, this is a good time to ask you. I mean, are there other guys like you? Because you seem to be one of a kind.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of other people.
There's a lot of guys like you in this secret space program who were somehow contacted and have had special guidance and knowledge on how to build and what to do. Yeah?
Yes.
Others.
Yes.
And have you met them?
Really, I've only met three other individuals of what are probably hundreds. Okay.
Really?
And
they're all quiet to this day.
Yes. Now, I think one of the thrusts that you probably have, and that many people now are hoping that the disclosure information will get these people to come out and talk about their involvement.
Sure.
Okay?
Right.
That's what collectively we're all trying to do. Because there's many areas that I don't know about and that I was not involved in, which are extremely important. And those people working in this subject know this. And they're not just aerospace engineers.
Remos says, sorry for my previous comment. I'm an ex-Air Force pilot captain from Europe and witnessed my first UFO long before you were born. It's okay, brother. No, not holding it against you. Take a seat, get comfy. You're as welcome here as everyone else.
These are top physicists in universities, okay?
Okay.
And they're top designers in aerospace companies. And they've had the information put in their head too. But for whatever reason, almost everybody that knows the information has been in some way put in a position that either their family has been threatened, they have been threatened, and they don't want to talk.
Okay, well then before we go on, why are you able to come forward?
Okay,
Great question.
Who gave you the green light?
Okay, I can't answer that. All I can say is that the easiest way for me to say what I'm saying is my association with 3 Nordic people in Douglas on the Apollo program, okay? I worked with these guys, 2 young ladies and 2 really good-looking Nordic guy.
All right.
And
here's a couple of bucks for a megaphone from Toxic Fart. Why do I need a megaphone? This guy, people are saying Bill Tompkins is starting to lip smack. Get the Werthers out. He's allergic to his wig. Bro, even if he is wearing a wig, like, who cares? He looks good. Good on him. Rock that wig, brother. I say, do whatever makes you feel good.
So, working with the 3 of them for 3.5 years on the Apollo program, who all 3 denied that they were Nordics. But everybody that was anybody in engineering knew they were. Okay?
I wonder if, I mean, he doesn't name them, but like, I wonder if he's like Valiant Thor. Like that. So Valiant Thor is the guy that Phil Schneider spoke about. He shows a picture of him. We covered it in my Phil Schneider video, that this Valiant Thor guy was a Nordic who was working with his father, who was a U-boat captain for the Germans, and was also like working with the Americans around the time of Operation Paperclip and beyond. And Bill Tompkins is saying that there were 3 Nordics, but like they wouldn't say they were, but everyone knew they were. He says everyone in engineering, and well, I guess Phil Schneider wasn't really an engineer, but he dug out bases underground for deep underground military bases. I guess that's an engineer or to some degree of engineering.
I never said they were. They never said they were. But if you can just try to visualize, I had 170 top engineers on the Apollo program working for me. Okay, I was engineering section chief at Douglas. I had, I guess, worked my way up. I come up with approaches and concepts, and I get these implemented by all my designers.
Yes.
Where did some of my ideas come from? I
love that in the chat, like, the biggest argument isn't over like the secret space program or like, did the Nazis have this technology, or like, is it the Reptilians or the Nordics? It's actually, is this guy's hair real? That's the biggest controversy in the chat so far.
This very nice looking young lady who never stops kidding. It's fun to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we're not getting disclosure, guys.
She never stops kidding. She's always sticking it in and turning it. And not just that, but she's always stuffing things in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when I presented this complete redesign of the Apollo program to Dr. Von Braun and Dr. Debus at Redstone Arsenal, one of the most classified facilities on the planet,
Yeah.
I had a 6 foot by 6 foot model in a great big box put on the DC-7 to fly down to the Redstone Arsenal, okay?
Yes.
I rented a truck. There weren't inside or closed trucks available. The only one that they had just board sides on it. So here is this great big gray box that could be a nuclear bomb. I drive this thing, and I've never driven the gears on this in my life. I'm in a 3-piece business suit. I'm driving this truck with this bomb box
And you
in the
just
back.
drive it onto the base or something,
And
right?
wait just a second. Now, my secretary had told me before I left, I've typed you an authorization as an allowance to go on board the base, okay? You're never going to use it, okay? I said, you're gonna get on base and you're not going to have anybody bother you, okay? So yes, I'm driving this truck a long straight road to get to the gates of the base. And she said, I told you before, Billy, telepathically, I'm driving the truck, just keep going. So the gates open, okay?
So great.
Now, off on the right hand, wait a minute.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
off on the right hand side.
No, let him finish. Let him finish.
Is this massive parking area for all of these trucks, all of the people to get on base, go through the security checks. Nobody, it's one of the most classified bases on the planet.
Sure.
And the doors open, the gate opens, and none of the 4 police guards at the office, they didn't pick up their rifles and come out.
Suki's just showed up for work an hour and 15 minutes late. Yeah, we'll be docking that out to pay.
And start shooting. Nobody did. The rifles just stayed by the front door where they stood.
But is this Nordic mind control?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So
what are you telling me? You're here because of Nordic mind control today? You know what I'm saying? I mean, is that what's happening? I mean, are these, top admirals who've been in this game now since 42 at least, are they letting you come here because they've been persuaded to do so, or because they've been mind controlled by Nordics to let you come?
Okay.
What a wild question, by the way. What a wild question. Are you here because you're being mind controlled by the Nordics? And like, you know, it's not like a flat out no. It's like a, you know what I mean? Quickly, $10 from El Significa says George Costanza has nothing on this guy's hair. Looking good for the Nords. $2 from Vern Dude. UAP are real. That's a hairpiece, no doubt. And $2 from Toxic Far. I bet this gentleman served in the Hair Force. Oh my God. 3 hair super chats in a row. I don't know if I'm proud or disappointed of you guys, but no, I'm proud. I'm definitely proud. Thank you.
I have to say, really, I don't know. And I really don't know.
I love that.
Okay.
The Hair Force is actually crazy, though. Sorry, did he fly on Hair Force 1? Yeah, okay, this is great. I need to run to the bathroom very quickly, so I'll let this play and I'll be back in a moment. I can still hear it.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome. I would say that that's probably how you got, actually, I didn't just mean here disclosing, but actually here talking to me, because I'm usually the most dangerous woman out there. I mean, to tell you the truth, that's my reputation. So somebody letting you talk to me, I mean, I know the Nordics are cool with me. So now I know why you're here, because...
You just answered it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, but I want to know why, if the Nordics had this amazing technology and they were helping you and feeding you ideas for Apollo, why was Apollo so rudimentary? Is there a completely other Apollo that we never saw? Because we know that things happened on the moon once they got there, and you said, you know, and I want to talk about all that. But you know what I'm saying? In other words, you're still talking about this module that has, you know, is basically a rocket. You know, it's like a tin can. No. That's old technology. Why did they let the humans continue with that kind of a design?
They could do what you would say would be a partial assistance to a country, and maybe we say they used the United States, okay?
Just quickly, I wanted to ask, when Kerry Cassidy is saying, like, my reputation is like, you know, I'm sort of like fearless, or she's a tough interviewer, is that true? Like, I know who Kerry Cassidy is. I'm not super familiar with like heaps of her work, but is that something she is known for? Because she like, to be fair to her, she is like kind of asking some pretty solid questions. $2 from Andy. Sickest rug in the Hair Force. It is a fantastic rug. Fair play to him.
Now, the Germans had been playing with rockets, liquid rockets, for way before World War II, and even World War I, okay? So they have their command center, the launch center, underneath the ground with concrete above it in a silo, an underground launch silo with a periscope up on top. They can look through. I said, we're not going to do that. I not only want my vehicle checked out in a vertical position and assembled that way, but I'm not going to use your underground launch facility for my cabinets full of support, checkout, and launch equipment. I want a facility which will be a closed facility to assemble all of the stage and check them out. Okay? So my proposal to Debus and Dr. von Braun was build a vertical assembly building, people. Okay? Oh yes, it will be the biggest facility space-wise of any building on the planet. Who cares? This is what we need. I got from checking out the German V2s in Germany in a horizontal to a vertical, and then encased in a white room. And actually, my proposal was a white room atmosphere.
Right.
Air-conditioned atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Because we were playing with advanced circuits and rocketry and communication systems that nobody had ever done. So the chance for something to go wrong was astronomical. And what I
Rambo with the cool whip. Okay, because I was thinking it too, I have to ask because I actually don't know. Is it like an accent or a certain part of the world that loves to add in the H sound on things? Like where? Where did I go to buy some cool whip? What is that? Why is that a thing? Who does that? And who else does it? I think Whitley Strieber does it too. And I'm not going to say I find it difficult to listen to, but like I can't stop. Every time they do it, I'm just like, oh, why are you doing that? And it detracts from me actually listening to them. Posh Brits? This guy's American. It's a posh accent. What, like in America? Old timers love the whip. Vehicle. It's like talking to someone with a booger hanging out. It's hard to pay attention. I'm going to have to listen with my eyes closed. The hair? Is it that bad? It's not British? No, I don't think it's a British thing. Old English. Interesting. Well, I guess we just don't know.
presented to Debus and von Braun was not just buildings, completely changed the whole checkout and launch at the Cape for production launches to the moon. Okay, so if you remember in that book, selected by extraterrestrials, there's a drawing in there that shows Cape Kennedy, Complex 39, and then a whole bunch of complexes all the way down this side for Launch Complex 39s, and then circles down here for these massive truck facilities to haul up all the equipment to build a 10,000-man naval base on the moon underground.
Okay, yes, but did this get built the way you wanted it to?
It finally did, yes.
Really?
The facility got built exactly the way the four major changes to the Apollo program came out of 170 guys in a engineering area called Launch Complex 39, which we designed at Douglas. Okay?
Okay, but you're still not, you didn't answer my question about the technology. So you're basically saying, because this is interesting, you're saying that the Nordics have some limitations in the way they help, in the way they interfere with planet Earth. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Okay, you're getting complicated, your questions, but we have to step way back.
I don't like how he kind of swerves that. I don't want to step way back. That's what Lou Elizondo does. You ask Lou Elizondo a question, he'll tell you, let me thread the needle here. Let me just wind it back a little bit. No. Stop threading needles. Stop winding it back. Answer the question. I hate that. I really don't like that. Josh, your South Australian accent is quite gentle. Obviously not a native. I'm a hybrid. I have other state accents blended in.
Again, not really understood by the public, okay? Yes, there are Federation facilities out in the galaxy where other extraterrestrials get together, and there's many different missions for many different types of programs. But we'll talk about one of them, which cruises the galaxy, and it has as many as 30 different extraterrestrial civilization people on board. It looks like the moon, okay? But it's a planet. I mean, it's not a planet, it's a vehicle.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, the moon is a vehicle. That's what he said. It's not a moon, it's actually a Death Star.
Okay. So this cruises the galaxy.
Is it a Dyson sphere or not?
What?
Is it called a Dyson sphere?
That's one term, but actually we're getting more complicated. I need to answer your question. When we got to the moon, we found out a lot of surprises, okay? The Draco reptilians were already there. And we knew because we had probes when we went, non-manned probes that we sent around the moon. So we knew there were facilities on the backside. We knew a whole lot that people didn't talk about. But we were in a position where this moon is not a moon, okay? it's not your moon in the first place. Actually, this is not your planet. This is their laboratory. Okay?
Right.
Whoa. This is not your planet. This is their laboratory. That's crazy. Remember this guy? Again, like every time I keep hearing crazy shit like that, I feel the need to reiterate his credentials and his background. Because again, either it's all fake and that's crazy that someone with these credentials is saying this stuff to trick us, or it's all true and that is also crazy.
Okay, the Dracos, you mean, or the Reptilians?
Draco Reptilian / Reptilian.
And I'm going to ask you what they all look like and all that, you know, at some point.
Okay.
Because I know. Okay, let's get to when it was.
He was just about to say what they looked like, and you cut him off. God damn it, lady.
Was it Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and he said that thing that you heard him say, and Michael wants to get real specific about this. So basically, there were 7 huge craft there, and you said on one of the shows out there, you said that the reptilians actually showed up beneath their craft and they gave the finger.
Okay, they were parked around the side of the crater.
Did you just say the reptilians gave him the finger? Like the Apollo mission was coming down to land and there were reptilians down there going like this? No. Did I hear that correctly? Is that how other people took what they just said?
Okay, they were not parked on it, they were floating above it. Okay, yeah. So there were hundreds of these 9-foot reptilian guys standing with their legs.
Hundreds.
Yeah, they were all the way across the underneath their vehicles,
okay,
standing
so
on the crater.
Feet, and what do they look like?
Here we go.
They're ugly-looking lizard, alligator type people. They got the same skin as the lizards got. Right. Okay, and terrible-looking faces. But
weak description. I wanted more. But isn't that a thing? Isn't there like, you know, leaked audio of the astronauts saying they landed and they were talking about how they could see them, that there were like these ships there waiting for them to like land, like they knew they were coming. I swear there is. I swear I've heard it.
Then they have the ability to shift and look like a human. All of them do. Okay?
Okay, do you think von Braun
They walk among us.
was a reptilian?
No.
You really don't?
No.
Okay.
Your president, yes.
Oh, shit. Your president, yes. I mean, this is in 2016, though. Wait, she's saying... Okay, hold up. He's saying your president in 2016. Who was that? Who was the American president in 2016? Wasn't that the year that, like, it switched? I could be wrong. I mean, yeah. Obama, Trump. Yeah, it was the year that it swapped, wasn't it? It went from Obama to Trump for the first time. Who knows? But, yeah, I mean, if we go back to the first clip of the show, Ryan Bledsoe was saying that Bill Tompkins and Tom DeLonge were trying to tell them that Clinton was a reptilian. So maybe, like, he could just be referring, because, like, isn't it just kind of like manners or whatever to just, like, any former president is still just president? So maybe he is referring to Clinton there. I don't know.
Oh, what? Which one? George Bush Sr.? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Bill Clinton and this guy you got got rid of. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy that you just got rid of. So he would be talking about Obama. He just said Bush's dad in like a weird way. He kind of, like, she said George Bush Sr. and he was kind of like, yeah. Which is like a weird yeah. It's kind of like it kind of sounded like a yeah if you say so, which is weird. Okay, like you don't really make claims like that on a, yeah, sure. Clinton? Yeah. Yeah, why not? Like that's the kind of vibe I got from that, yeah. And then he went on to say Clinton with a bit more conviction. And then the one you just got rid of, which would be referring to Obama. That's crazy. That's crazy. This guy's from Naval Intelligence. So, like, are you running like an intelligence op against the leaders of your own country? Or are you actually trying to get the wild truth out to the public? Or like just what the fuck is this about?
They all were.
Right.
Okay. So when they all have this ability to make themselves look like real good-looking people.
And you're saying Trump isn't one?
No, he's not. Okay.
Well, that's a relief.
And and
yeah, it would make sense because this would be the time Trump came in the first time. Oh, and okay. Look, let's assume this is real. Let's assume this is real. And what they're saying about who is a reptilian and who isn't. It's kind of funny how like Trump came in saying he's going to drain the swamp because what lives in swamps? Giant lizards, alligators, crocodiles. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just saying, giant reptiles live in swamps. And Trump kept saying he wanted to drain the swamp. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying.
he knows more about this subject than people realize.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
But trying to get back to your earlier question, these groups of extraterrestrial who work together.
You know who could have solved this? Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin would have jumped on Clinton and wrangled him and tied him up like it was nothing. Rest in peace.
But are at war with other extraterrestrials, okay? Have these vehicles that look like a planet.
Right.
Like our moon is a vehicle. It's a command center for this arm. Easiest way to look at this is to put your arm out like this. And you be the center of the galaxy, all the way out to here. There's 4 arms on our galaxy. One of those arms has a place here which is called planet Earth. You're not downtown where all the action is in the galaxy. You're out here. You're in the area which galaxies, as they rotate, throw off. Okay? So you're sitting here on the tip, near the tip of the Milky Way galaxy, you, Earth. Okay? And what you need to do is visualize you are not Earth people. Okay? You are extraterrestrials, nice guys out there.
So basically, we're in the galactic hood. We're in the part of the galaxy that, like, bro, don't go there after like 8 p.m. Seriously, don't go there alone. Don't go there after 8 p.m. Just keep looking over your shoulder when you go to Earth. Seriously.
There, so you know that this little planet is going to get thrown off. Maybe it'll take a couple of weeks yet, but eventually it's going to get thrown off. So
that's why this is happening.
This is why this is happening. Okay.
Can I just say something as well that I'm just thinking about now? Like, if we're talking about Nordics and Reptilians, okay, that there is some kind of war going on between Nordics and Reptilians, and we are somehow caught up in the middle of it. Can I just highlight, like, as crazy as that sounds, can I just highlight how, what are Nordics generally, what do they look like? Beautiful, blonde, blue eyes, just like perfect. The same way an angel is depicted, right? That's literally how angels are always depicted. Blonde hair, blue eyes, intelligent, beautiful, ethereal. And how are demons depicted? Usually with like this scaly skin. Maybe even like some little horns. Kind of demonic-y lizard looking. Is it the same thing? Because it kind of seems like it. Kind of seems like Reptilians and Nordics is actually just angels and demons. But it's not like some weird ethereal thing that, like, you know, only exists in some other realm. It's like, no, this shit is actually real. I'm just saying there's a lot of similarities. That's all I'm saying.
And 2,000 years from now, we'll probably be picked up with another galaxy. We're just floating out there. And this goes back to the problem that we had before about the number of years that you can live. We'll talk about that later. But back to these command centers which operate throughout the galaxy to monitor bad guys and attempt to get them to back off.
So isn't Phobos one of them?
Yes. Okay. And so essentially we have nice guys in there and even some bad people in the same vehicle. And they discuss wars and disagreements and this sort of thing. But back in their own planetary part of the galaxy, they may be at war with two of the same guys that are in this together. So this is like a center of information, sort of like a...
Did he just say Thanos? No, he said Phobos, which... Oh, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm pretty sure Phobos is a moon of Saturn. I think. I could be wrong. I could be wrong there. If it's not Saturn, I'm pretty sure it's a moon to another big planet. Someone in the chat might be able to correct me there.
A group of people who are trying to get along for certain specifications or certain events. Those guys control your planet, your moon, because your moon is a command center for this region of the galaxy.
There you go. Sounds like it's a moon of Mars. By the way, do you know Jupiter has over 100 moons? That's crazy. And I think other planet, I think we're the only planet that has one moon. Why is that? That's weird. Is that weird? Or am I just looking for weird things? It's weird that Jupiter has 100 and we have one. Obviously, it's a bigger planet, but I don't know.
Not just the solar system. That's small potatoes, okay? The thing that's sitting right in here, which is you call your moon, okay, is a massive control center for this whole part of the Milky Way galaxy.
Okay, wow.
Wow. Wow is right.
What about Saturn? I thought Saturn was more like that.
Saturn has large facilities on it too, but those are other agendas for other people, okay? Some of which we have, okay? Because we have mining companies. Let's take North American Aviation.
Sure.
We're like District 10 in the galaxy. We are like the outskirts, hood, absolute, yeah. We're the end district.
Los Angeles Airport. That's where North American Aviation is, okay? And you've seen on my block diagrams that are in my book what systems engineering really is, what controls the secret think tanks, okay? Instead of a book or a document to do this, I came up with block diagrams. We have to have one of those. We're going to need one of these, and we're going to need this for just the start of the program. As we get into this, we're going to change the phases of it into 4 different phases: concept phase, definition phase, acquisition phase, and operational phase. So now that's a 10-foot long piece of paper that's a foot high, and it has every single block diagrams that are required to initiate that space program. Okay?
Man, he's making Michael Salla's associate sound more legit all the time. Jerry, I actually asked someone to put me in contact with Michael Salla because I want to talk to him. I want to ask him what the fuck's going on. I find him and his background very interesting and his whole idea of exopolitics is that basically the idea that the world has been interfered with and it's being interfered with by a non-human intelligence and has for a long time. That's what exopolitics is, which is basically the same conclusion that I've come to on my own, but he obviously comes from a more academic background than me, which is why it's interesting. And he's been saying this since 2005. But the thing is, and I feel like a lot of people, they get infiltrated along the way. And I'm not saying that's what's happened to him, but the whole JP guy, that's something that I really struggle with. Okay. I haven't watched a lot of it. but the guy comes on his show wearing like a Halo Master Chief helmet and saying how he was just at Neptune on last Wednesday doing a few space missions and he just got back. Like, dude, I just, you know, when you say that so nonchalantly with your Master Chief Halo helmet on, bro, I just can't. Like, I can't with that. I'm sorry. But I don't want to write Michael Salla off for that either. Like, I want to ask Michael Salla, like, how did you meet JP? Did he just come in your email inbox one day? Because that's, you know, I get a lot of weird emails of people trying to offer me information and give me stuff. And like, some of it is probably true, maybe, but like, I'm just not really, you know, that's not my thing. I think I just like to stay in my lane and do my own thing. Because yeah, the whole JP thing is like, who is this guy, man? I don't want to make any conclusions, but for me, it's just a little bit too sus to be like, just, yeah, tell me everything, JP. I'm eating it up. Nah, it's just, I can't. Show me your face. That's the biggest thing. Show me your face. Like, I would never interview anyone on this channel unless they were putting their video camera on, right? Because I need to be able to see your face. I need to be able to see your eyes when you speak to me. Well, I need to see everything, because that's the best thing I have to be able to tell if you're bullshitting me or not. So when you roll in with a Master Chief helmet and tell me you've just been to Saturn, I struggle. I do. JP equals Josh Polarity. It's a psyop. Fuck. Damn it. End the stream. End the stream.
Every single one is in there. So those documents then are used in different manners to develop ICBMs. So I came up with a concept for really space concept. The military then used those for development of ICBMs and other weapon systems. And that the initiation of that is to understand our position on our association with extraterrestrials. That's what the block diagram is for. All these events that have to take place to interface with extraterrestrials.
What do you mean? Okay, that's very complex, what you just said.
It is very complicated.
So you're...
Just quickly before we continue, Josh, I enjoy the Gimli helmet you put on the Elizondo. Thank you. I should touch that up. I want to do more things like that. Courtney says, I'm an experiencer. Excuse the spelling. If you talk to people, people think you're a joke. I guess it depends who you talk to, Courtney. I would advise, if you are a genuine experiencer and you do want to talk to people, don't do it with a Master Chief helmet on. I'm not saying you would, but like, to me, it's like, if you want people to be taken serious, people to take you seriously, yes, speak to the right people first, but then if they're the right people, you don't need to wear a Master Chief helmet. You can just like talk, and I would recommend that, because I think most people, understandably, and as you should, be sus when someone is telling you shit like that with a Master Chief helmet on. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Sorry.
You're talking about yourself having a diagram, having been the person who creates a diagram that the entire, sort of, maybe all the militaries are going to follow, that's going to diagram out our relationships with these with the rest of the ET
we've
races.
Used what turned out later to be a standard requirement, this block diagram thing, for every weapon system that any of the military has, whether it's Air Force, Navy, Marines, doesn't make any difference. Your company designing whatever, go back to the Pentagon and you propose a weapon system. You're going to have to be, if you get that proposal, you're going to have to be controlled by this 375 document, which I came up with for the Apollo program, and I submitted that to Von Braun, and that was one of the 4 programs of changing the entire NASA program. Okay, so the first use of this was for ICBMs. I took that system and defined the entire Apollo program and the missions, because they had several missions. My group in the secret think tank came up with 44 separate missions extended to the year 2000, 1999. So the Apollo program was supposed to not just go to the moon, pick up the rocks, take the photographs, and come back. The Apollo program was to take us out into our solar system, build naval stations on every habitable planet or its moon, okay?
Right.
And then the next phase was to go to the 12 closest stars, Alpha Centauri being the first, put naval stations, bases on all of its planets, except we stopped that one because it had 2 suns and the radiation factor was not, we couldn't do it. But 11 other stars, the 11 closest stars to you, okay?
And you're saying it's been done?
And I'm saying that's what we plan on doing.
Okay, you planned starting with Apollo, and you
That is the Apollo mission. No, that is the Apollo mission.
Oh, that's just Apollo. Okay. Did it happen?
No.
It got stopped, right?
Yeah.
And it got stopped by the reptilians.
Yeah, they said, no.
Okay, now this diagram.
That's wild. So the actual point of the Apollo missions was to go out and expand our presence in the universe, and we got told you're not doing that by the reptilians. According to Bill Tompkins, that's the story. That is crazy, but hey, you know what? It explains why we have never gone back to the moon. Why didn't we do that? Why didn't we go back to the moon? Why would we put so much time and effort to go and just plant a flag? That seems weird. And you know what else? These guys here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the...
They don't look like they've just gone further than any man has ever gone before. They don't look like 3 people who have just achieved the greatest accomplishment of man of all time. Still to this day, by the way. They look like hostages. They look like they don't want to be there. Maybe that's what you look like when you just landed on a foreign surface full of 9-foot reptilians. And now you have to go and pretend that you didn't. Maybe. I don't know. But, you know, for the first guy who walked on the moon, that's a pretty solemn face to me. They look so scared and traumatized. Yeah, they certainly don't look like heroes. The heroes that they are meant to have been. Look at Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin looks like G.I. Joe ready to perform a psyop. Look at him. Look at him. He's like daggering the crowd. Sitting so upright. Like he's got a rod in his back. Dude, that body language is just crazy. Buzz is the front man. And that's why, like, after this, did we ever see Neil Armstrong again? Not really. Not really. Probably because bro couldn't hide it. Bro couldn't hide that he was being told to bullshit here, and he hated it, I reckon. And look at Buzz. He was like, I was built for this shit, baby. I was built for this. And that's why I would say that's why we hear more from Buzz Aldrin ever since. Because he's got enough ego and enough about him to be able to like put that on his shoulders and still run with it. Because I feel like, to me, Neil Armstrong here, like his body language and his demeanor, and in other interviews I've seen with him, Neil comes across as like a super, like, just like quiet, kind of humble, no fuss, just like a kind, nice person. Whereas Buzz kind of has that like ego. He's got the ego. And, you know, ego isn't always a bad thing. I feel like when we say ego, it usually comes... Yeah, recluse is a great word. Ego usually comes with like a negative connotation, and it's not always that. But it's like Buzz Aldrin has this like calcified layer around him where he can kind of like wear the shit that comes with being the guy that's involved with this. Whereas I don't think Neil could wear it. I don't think he could handle that because he wasn't calcified like Buzz is. That's just my own interpretation and explanation of how I see that, but I don't think I'm alone in that assessment.
You're saying this block diagram that is the militaries are all following. It basically is, in a sense, your design initially. It came through you, but it must have been downloaded to you somehow from the Nordics, saying what Earth people were going to be allowed to do. Is that what it's saying? Okay. What kind of weapons they could or couldn't build?
It was not for weapons. It was for us, and actually that's in my book. Right. It was for us to go out into the galaxy. Everything that's necessary to build a transport or a vehicle. Go out in the galaxy, have communications with other extraterrestrials out there, and set up businesses with them.
Right.
Maybe we could mine stuff for them. Maybe we
could make shoes for them. Cat Simpson says if they didn't play along, they would have ended up like Gus Grissom. Yep. Gus Grissom was meant to be the Neil Armstrong. Didn't want to do it. And got the old, whoops, you got hit by a bus on your bike. Damn it. Not again. Not another one. Those buses, man, they're dangerous. Those buses get real dangerous when you don't want to do what the CIA tells you to. It's weird. $20 from Rogue ET says, keep up the great work, Josh. Everyone who faces the reality of the reptiles and other ET races are changed forever. Thank you, man. That's a big super chat. I appreciate you. And just to catch up on a couple others, $5 from El Significa says, this is exactly what a lizard with a bad hairpiece would say. He's trying to draw attention away from himself. And Nick N says, Josh, all banter aside, thank you for this video. It's not every day you see a fella that was instrumental in modernizing our space program. My pleasure, man. I'm glad you enjoy it. You guys know I love the old stuff. I love the old interviews with the faces that aren't appearing on our podcast circuits regularly, because I think the people who aren't being propped up are the ones we should probably listen to. That's the exact same reason why I've always been drawn towards David Icke, because when it becomes clear that someone is a crazy person and we should never listen to him, and like, don't listen to him, attack his credibility, that makes me go, okay, everyone needs to shut up. What is this guy saying that people don't want us to know? That's the way you should think, and that's why I like listening to these videos.
It had certain materials they don't have. We could market these. Okay. They may have things that we want to buy. Set up communications with other civilization people out in the galaxy. That's what the first block diagram was for, and that's what the mission was to have originally been, what we recommended. Okay? Yeah. Now, yes, Nordics put that stuff in Billy Tompkins' mind, and he runs with this ball. Okay? But you've got it in the book. I mean, that's what our thrust was. It was not military. Then the military picks up this document, and they run with that of every military program anybody wants.
Okay, but when you say the military picked it up, I mean, here you are kind of almost embedded in the military. You're dealing with von Braun and Diebus. Now, they're Germans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you guys hear that? I think Tompkins just started like wheezing into them. Sorry.
So there is some kind of interaction going on between still Germany, the U.S., and then Project Paperclip, bringing over all the Nazi scientists.
Yes.
And at some point, we're being infiltrated. It's clear in your book that you, and especially your close friend that you worked with a lot, you used to talk in the dialogue of the book. You're always saying someone is interfering, someone is on a higher level trying to manage this situation.
Implement the situation.
Okay.
So you're having both white hat guys out there, okay, and we got black hat guys out there. And
Suki makes the same noise, don't worry, all the time. Especially when she's like getting up or sitting down. She's a real just like real groany dog. Aren't you?
They're both influencing us.
And they still are.
They have their agendas.
And they still are, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
As we're talking, they're still doing this.
Yes.
Okay? It hasn't stopped.
Okay, before we continue, and I want to take a short break, I'd let you drink some water. I don't want to leave this subject where Michael can ask his question that he has, make sure that he got his question answered about, again, back to.
Michael Schratt has just sat there so patiently, not even being able to ask a single question the entire time.
To Neil Armstrong on the moon and the 7 huge craft and all the reptilians standing there. You wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
So.
I just wanted to back up for just a quick second. When Bill talks about classified documents not being stamped, that's absolutely correct, because that is the procedure that Kelly Johnson followed at the Skunk Works in Burbank. When they were doing the F-80, the U-2 spy plane, the A-12, and the SR-71, none of those documents
was built in the 1950s.
Were stamped top secret. That was per Kelly Johnson, so you're absolutely correct about that.
Crazy, but yes, you're right. Yeah.
So, Bill, are we to believe then that you are the genesis of the vehicle assembly building at the Kennedy Space Center? You're the genesis for that idea?
Yeah, but that actually is for the NOVA program.
Okay.
Okay. NOVA vehicles. In the book, I think there's 7 of them in the one picture. You see 7 different types of NOVAs. You see the Apollo vehicle, it's over in the corner, it's a little tiny thing. Then you see these great big things that are 10 times the size of Apollos. Okay, those are all trucks. They're trucks to haul up boring machines for the moon, to bore into the moon, to find areas where we can do our construction of a 10,000-man naval operation and research base on the moon. That's what our Apollo program first phase is. Not just go to the moon and pick up the rocks. We were going to the moon to a program that actually operated, this is 1963, it was operational until 1999, okay? The Apollo moon program, okay?
Now, that was the first half of that interview, apparently. Apparently it goes on for I don't know how long, but I think that's just part 1. And I think Michael Schratt actually gets to ask some questions. How kind of Kerry to let him do that in the next part. But I haven't actually seen the next part myself, but it's something I'll definitely check out. If you guys want to see the part 2 of that interview, make sure you get in the comments of the video and let me know. But damn, that was a really fun show. I think hearing from someone like Bill Tompkins, who, you know, as crazy as the shit is that he's saying, this guy's from the Department of Naval Intelligence, which you know, could go one way or the other. Is it intelligence to feed us all bullshit and keep us all confused? Or is it intelligence and this guy's actually telling us shit that we really need to know, and that there is actually this ongoing power struggle between a reptilian race and a Nordic race, and the humans are just caught in the middle for whatever reason. Who knows? But obviously, after all that, the biggest thing that we really need answers for is that, was Bill Tompkins wearing a toupee? No, I'm just kidding. Guys, thank you for being here. I appreciate your support always. The fact that you guys want to come and hang out with me while we dive into reptilians and Nordics and secret space programs makes me feel so lucky, and I love you, and I love the support that you guys give. Super generous community. I'm going to go jump in Discord now. We can keep that conversation going there. But until next time, guys, look after each other. Be good. Be kind. Make sure you're getting outside and touching grass. Otherwise, you're going to lose your mind. All right? Take care, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Eventually, people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.